You know, Meat Shields, there are plenty of animals out there that genuinely scare me. Like if you're putting me up against a bear or a gorilla or like a kung fu panda, yeah, I'm getting pieced up and I'm not even gonna lie. But what if I told you there's an animal so ferocious, so terrifying, they couldn't even put a real one on screen? That's right, you guys. Today we're talking about one of the goofiest movies that I've seen this year, and honestly, that is saying a lot. So, if your idiotic family ended up trapped by a pack of vicious coyotes, what would you do? Well, I've got the perfect strategies to survive, so I'm here to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the coyote apocalypse in Coyotes. We start off with this influencer Kat taking her little chihuahua Gigi out for a walk. It seems like an ordinary night here in the Hollywood Hills, but she has no idea that a pack of bloodthirsty coyotes are watching their every move. So Kat's busy talking to her friend about their night at the club, you know, usual Hollywood type shit. But the whole time, Gigi keeps staring at something in the distance. Well, the pup eventually goes off to take a potty break while mom decides to rip a few selfies because, you know, she's popular. And her entire camera roll, yeah, it's just pictures of herself. Like, damn, no love for Gigi? My girl needs a better owner for real. But then, as she's busy looking through the photos, she notices a vicious-looking doggy posted up right behind her. And just at that moment, something starts pulling on the leash. Suddenly, the bushes start shaking like crazy until Gigi's harness comes flying back all the way ripped up, covered in blood. That's when a damn coyote comes out of the shadows, and Kat is so terrified that she backs up into the street without looking. And suddenly, blam! A freaking pickup truck just blasts her out of nowhere, and the dude just dips out as the coyotes start eating her alive, making 2 down with 9 more to go. Alright, now you see fam, that's why I always look both ways before crossing the street. Now I can tell you right off the bat, I'm surviving this one easy because like I said in the intro, there's lots of animals that actually scare me. But coyotes? Man, that's a whole different story. I mean, I looked it up, you guys, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not even worried. Like, apparently they only weigh between 15 to 40 pounds and usually don't get bigger than 4 feet. And I'm sorry, but I thought this was supposed to be a challenge here. So 1v1, I'm ending bro 10 times out of 10, no doubt about it. And I don't even need a weapon. Like, he's just gonna catch these hands and I'm gonna walk away every single time. But let's go back and rewind the tape. Coyotes are a known problem out here in the Hollywood Hills, and they'll scoop your pets right out the backyard. So if I'm going out for a late night stroll with my precious little Kilo, I'm already gonna have my head on a damn swivel. And I ain't just bringing poop bags either. I'm packing pepper spray, a walking stick, and a headlamp. And I, might even pack the tool if it's getting that serious. And as soon as little Brody starts getting sus about something in the bushes, nah, take the kids inside because it's about to get tragic. But my girl Kat was so dumb that she peeped one of these furry demons in the back of her selfie and just genuinely ignored it. Like, that's some blood and honey level survival skills, man, which we did cover on the channel, check that out. And I mean, seriously brain dead shit. But me? As soon as I see Cujo hitting the photobomb, I'm scooping up little Gigi and we going the home. And if it attacked, then I'ma just murk son and call it a day. And you're probably thinking, actually, he's gonna bite you and it's gonna be way hurting. And okay, maybe that's true, but old boy's not gonna be doing so good when I body slam him straight through the pavement. So yeah, me 1, coyotes 0. Now let's see what happens to this next bunch of idiots. So the next morning we see this exterminator Devin pull up at some fancy crib in the hills. And the thing you gotta know about my boy Devin is, dude absolutely hates rats. Like, he really hates them. I mean, he's pretty much the 21 Savage of pest control, so my boy Scott just has to sit back and let him work. Well, Buddy genuinely starts tweaking when he notices a giant pile of trash stacked up against the fence. But Scott explains that it's all from his whacked out neighbor Trip. So they head back inside where Devin starts telling Scott his entire life story, but that's when his wife Liv and their daughter Chloe get back home. So Devin finally decides that it's time to dip, and he says that he'll be back in a few days to check the traps. Well, later that day, Scott's busy working in his office when Liv mentions the old tree in their yard. The news says there's a huge storm coming, and she's worried that it might fall down, but Scott's pretty sure there's nothing to worry about, because they're always making a big deal out of nothing, right? But that, my friends, was his biggest mistake. So they're getting ready for a family movie night when somebody rings the doorbell, but it's not the pizza guy. Instead, they're confused to find some random lady staring at the door. This is Julie, and she may not be delivering pizzas, but she's out here trying to get some bread in a different way, if you know what I'm saying. Well, obviously she's at the wrong Addy, and it turns out that she's actually looking for Tripp's house, so the family points the way and tells her to keep it pushing, but we'll be seeing her again soon enough. Later on that night, after everyone is in bed, Chloe hears the dog barking and decides to go check it out. She finds the little fella just barking at the doggy door, but when she peeks outside, some kind of vicious animal suddenly rushes by. Now, for some reason, Chloe thinks it needs their help, so she makes her parents get up and take a look. At first, it seems like there's nothing, but when Scott notices something in the driveway, he gets a little closer and realizes that it's a freaking wild coyote, and it starts closing in when the motion-activated lights go out, but when Scott gets them on again, it suddenly disappears. So he turns around and heads back inside. But just as he's telling the girls that it is all good, there's a huge crash as the tree finally comes down. And not only did it take out the power, but it took out the damn whip too. Well, Scott, my boy, it looks like things are gonna be pretty cold around the bedroom tonight, and I don't just mean that because the power is out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, you guys, cause Scott, you done f***ed up. Now, my fellas out there know that if the wifey asks you to do something like take down a tree, you've got about 1 weekend tops to get it done. But my girl Liv's been warning bro about this for like a year, like a whole 365 days. Nah, now I'm mad at buddy. Like, I know life gets busy and and this PS5 ain't gonna play itself, but dog, a whole year? You can't even tell me you didn't have time. You've clearly got bread, so just pay somebody to do it for you. It's really that simple. But you had to be all like, nah, it's no big deal, even when the weatherman was trying to warn you that that was about to go down. Well, good job, buddy, because now you just took out the power to half the neighborhood. And if I lived next door and I couldn't charge my phone or get on the game, best believe I'm gonna be dragging bro in the neighborhood Facebook group for years to come, because all my guy had to do was simply get rid of the tree and we'd all be chilling. So yeah, Scott just f***ed up for real. Now, buddy's lucky he didn't get splattered when he was out there trying to be a good citizen. And Chloe, you're just trying to get Pops killed, huh? Like, this girl genuinely saw a werewolf run by and said, that looks like it needs our help. Like, girl, be so for real right now. I mean, what did you even think the old man was gonna do? He's clearly not some kind of animal expert. Dude's just gonna get bit and end up in the hospital. So nah, I would have just told you to quit playing around and go back to bed. But now that I know there's a vicious coyote outside, I'ma just simply lock up or block up the doggy door and that's it. See? Easy. The only hard part is gonna be all the calls he has to make when this is over. Like, he's gonna have to explain to the power company, the police, insurance. Yeah, have fun with that, my guy. I'd rather fight the coyotes for real. Well, the fam manages to survive the night, and needless to say, Liv is not that happy with her man right now, but when she goes outside to check the damage, she finds a bloody collar next to the tree. It's from the neighbor Tripp's cat, so while Scott's cleaning up the bloodstains, Liv heads over there to break the news. And who answers the door but that woman Julie from last night. But old boy finally shows up wearing nothing but his tighty whities and a bougie silk robe, and it's pretty obvious from the jump that he's more than just a little spaced out, if you catch my drift. Oh yeah, and he's packing a gold 4.5, so that's good. Like, bro's casually out here rocking a COD loadout on a Saturday afternoon. But when he sees the collar, buddy is obviously pretty upset, so Liv decides to dip out before it gets any more awkward. Back at home, Scott's busy trying to get the damn tree off the car, and he's called in some help from their drunken neighbor Tony. Dude's been day drinking since he woke up this morning, so his wife Sheila will not let him bring in the chainsaw. Like, yeah dude, it's 11:30 a.m. and you're already 8 beers deep. But Liv is still worried that Scott's gonna end up needing an ambulance, and if she's right, then he better do it soon because her phone's only at 30%. Meanwhile, over at Tripp's place, Buddy's convinced that his cat might still be alive, so he decides that he's gonna head back out there and save her. But just when he's about to leave, the generator finally runs out, and now Julie is pissed that she won't be able to charge her phone. So as soon as he's gone, she grabs his keys and decides to go chill in the whip. Back at Scott's, Tony gets a text from his wife and has to head out, but he has no idea that the hills are already packed with bloodthirsty coyotes. Well, dude's barely made it around the block when he notices 3 of them headed his way, and it's pretty obvious that these pups ain't looking for no belly rub. So he starts splashing beer at them and trying to scare them off, but the bad news is it is not working, and all of a sudden another one runs up from behind and takes a chomp out of his ankle. At the same time, Tripp shows up at Scott's house looking for help finding his cat, and they hear a distant scream as the coyotes bite off Tony's fingers. Just like that, my boy is toast, and that makes 3 down with 8 more to go. All right, you guys. Now, what's crazy here is that dude actually put up a worse fight than Gigi the Chihuahua. I mean, maybe if he wasn't just casually wasted at 1 in the afternoon, dude would have actually stood a chance. But my boy just got packed up faster than a chew toy. And I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. This time, things are different because like 1 coyote, yeah, I'm bodying dude no problem. But 3 or 4, that's gonna require me to use a little strategy. Now, Buddy started off pretty strong when he decided to stand on business instead of running away, because coyotes can sense fear and all that. And apparently they can run at like 35 or 40 miles per hour, so yeah, you ain't outrunning them. So what you're actually supposed to do is just puff up and start going all caveman mode to scare them away, because you see, coyotes are basically like bullies at public school. They only attack if they think you're an easy target, but if it looks like you're ready to throw hands, they might just chicken out and bounce. But what bro didn't realize was that this was all a setup, because coyotes are pack hunters. So if I found myself in this situation, the first thing I'm gonna do is square up with my back against the hill. That way they can only attack me from the front. Then I'm gonna just pick up a stick and throw it down on the street like we're playing fetch, because who knows, it might work. But if I can't get rid of them that way, then I'm gonna just smash that beer bottle on the ground or pick up a heavy stick for a weapon, and the first one that attacks me, I'm turning bro into an example. Like, I'm gonna start Hulk smashing up in here. And I mean throwing kicks, dropping elbows, putting them in chokeholds. It's gonna be looking like a UFC fighter versus a bunch of 3rd graders. And they gonna get reminded real quickly why humans are still at the top of the food chain. And after I clobbered 1 or 2 of them, hopefully the others would just smarten up and dip out and head back to the crib. Easy peasy. So Liv takes a trip out to where she found the collar, and since there's no sign of a body, dude is still convinced that the cat might actually be alive. Well, he ends up finding her in a bush not too far away, but yeah, it ain't pretty. So I guess that makes 4 down with 7 more to go. Next, we cut over to Tony's house where Sheila's starting to wonder what happened to her man. She thinks he probably got too sloshed to make it home. So she calls up Liv to see if he's still there, but Liv says he left their place a long time ago, and now she's worried that something might have happened. She tries calling him again a few minutes later, and this time she hears the phone ringing from somewhere nearby. But no matter where she looks, she can't figure out where it's coming from. Meanwhile, back at Scott's, they're all hanging out in the garage when a coyote comes wandering up the driveway. Scott tries taking to it like a little puppy dog, but this thing starts growling at them and acting all sketchy, so he tells the kid to take the dog and get inside. But the coyote keeps getting closer and closer until suddenly it jumps straight at them just as Scott slams the door. Now it's getting dark, and there's still no sign of Tony, but Sheila finally hears his cell phone coming from the driveway. But there's just one problem. Buddy is already dog food, and the coyote that turned him into lunch meat is looking at her like it's next meal. Well, Sheila turns around and books it back inside the house, but just when she thinks it's safe, nah, another coyote already beat her to it. So she runs to the kitchen and grabs some cooking spray and a lighter and starts spraying flames all up in Cujo's face. It doesn't really work out as well as she planned though, and as the coyote lunges to bite her, she accidentally falls right over the grill, causing the spray to spill all over the hot coals. And then, all of a sudden, ba-bam, her entire body bursts into flames, and that makes 5 down with 6 more to go. Okay, well, it looks like the Paw Patrol's having some barbecue tonight. Now, these coyotes picked the right hood to visit, I can tell you that, because it seems like everyone who lives here is just a genuine NPC. Like, I thought what happened to Tony was bad, but the wifeys honestly got him beat, because getting murked by a coyote in your own house, that's just a skill issue, not gonna lie. But this all could have been easily avoided if it wasn't for one goofy-ass mistake, and that's when my girl Sheila left the damn door open when she went outside. This honestly makes me mad, you guys. And every time I see a character do this, I already know they're cooked for real, because 9 times out of 10, the problem's already inside when they get back. Now, I shouldn't even really have to explain this, but the whole reason why doors were even invented was to keep stuff out of your place. I know, you can thank me in the comments for that one. It takes literally 1 second to turn around and shut up behind you, so if you mess around and come back to find Cujo in your crib, well, that's on you, guy. Now, me personally, I could never end up in this situation because I'm not that stupid, but let's just say I accidentally touched the orb of confusion and somehow let a coyote get inside. Honestly, I'm even less worried than when they jumped my boy Tony on the corner, because now it's back to a 1v1. And in my own house where I have all the map knowledge, yeah, it's over. So as soon as I see a coyote aura farming on the pool table, here's what I'ma do. First, I'ma going straight for the kitchen, but instead of picking up something useless like she did, I'm opening up the fridge, grabbing some raw meat, and launching it out the freaking door. Now, hopefully the coyote takes the bait, because then I can just shut it and Bam, problem solved, right? But if that doesn't work, then I'm actually grabbing something useful like a knife or a frying pan or even a damn broom and backing up towards the stairs where I can get the high ground. And once that happens, it's pretty much a wrap for bruh. Like I'm either tossing Buddy down the steps like a rag doll or locking myself in the bedroom and calling the cops. But either way, this is another time where I'm taking the dub easy. So, back with the family, Scott's busy trying to poison everybody with some canned meat for dinner. Like, damn, you know it's bad when the Coyotes are out here eating better than you. But the family ain't rocking with it, and honestly, I do not blame them. So Liv decides to heat up some frozen dinners instead. Now, meanwhile, back at Tripp's place, Julie's just out here chilling in the whip when she hears a scary noise coming from somewhere outside. And listening in a little closer, she realizes that it's a bunch of coyotes howling like crazy, and suddenly something dashes across the roof of the car, so Julie does the most brain-dead thing possible and decides to get the out of there. And sure enough, she turns around to see one of the damn coyotes growling at her from the bushes. But she stands her ground and manages to scare it off, for now, and runs inside to find Tripp still high-key losing it over his cat. Well, Buddy needs to get his emotions out the only way he knows how, and that's when Julie starts pouring hot wax on his chest while absolutely roasting him like a big hairy marshmallow. Like, alright dog, you do you, I guess. But the coyotes can sense the freakiness. And the bad news is my girl Julie left the f***ing door open. Like, god damn it, man. And as soon as Julie notices them, she just dips out and leaves old boy on his own. Well, Buddy grabs the strap and just starts blasting, but he's got worse aim than my grandma and pretty much doesn't hit a damn thing. So Julie dips upstairs to the restroom and Tripp follows her up a minute later, but he's injured, and the coyotes will be there any second. So he tosses Julie a leather whip and hits a quick roll over the bed as he grabs 2 more 4.5s from the drawer. But that's when they see the handle start to jiggle and suddenly one of the coyotes lets itself into the room. But when Julie sees it coming, she just runs and locks herself in the restroom, leaving Tripp on his own just like before. Alright fam, now just when I thought the people out here couldn't get any more stupid, these two really had to pull up and say, nah, watch this. I don't even know how Julie is still with us after the stuff that she just pulled outside. But girl, how dumb do you have to be to hear some kind of monster sprint across the roof and say, you know what, let me just get out real quick and run away? I mean, I'm sorry, but are we actually serious? Like all those noise clams must have put holes in your brain for real skis, because there's just no other way I could possibly understand what you were thinking here. I mean, you're already in a freaking car, so just put the keys in and leave. Like, what? Now, I actually have a theory why the coyote left her alone. I think her big fur coat tricked it into thinking she was one of its own kind. But then to turn around and forget to close the damn door once you're back inside? Nah, I honestly can't even think about it too much or I'll genuinely lose my like, just close the door with your freaky ass. I mean, there's kids who live in this neighborhood and one peek at this freak show is gonna leave them traumatized for life. So just do everyone a favor and keep that joint private. But once the coyotes got inside, that's when things really got interesting. Now, Julie actually made the right choice this time by using Tripp as a meat shield. So yeah, hats off. But old boy wasn't exactly defenseless. Like, my dude was strapped. And this is where decades of experience on Call of Duty are gonna come into play. So we've only got 4 coyotes, and the blick should hold around 7 or 8 rounds, so instead of blindly spraying in every direction, I'm rolling over the couch, falling back towards the steps, and trying to actually hit something besides just a bunch of random furniture. I mean, I should be able to smoke at least 1 or 2 of them on my way up the stairs, and then I'll just hide in the bedroom like they did here. But where these two screwed up is they forgot something pretty important. Dogs can actually open doors, especially if it's a handle like that. But me? Yeah, I'ma simply just lock in, and then they can't get in. Crazy how that works, right? Then all I gotta do is just chill until they leave. Otherwise, I'll just take the 2 extra straps, dip out through the window, circle back around through the front door, and pop whatever coyotes are left. And then we're good. See, it's like that simple. Now back at Scott's, the family's passing the time with a wholesome game of charades. Like, damn, is this really what life was like before the internet? But that's when they hear stuff popping off over at Tripp's house, and at first they think he must be setting off some fireworks, but they quickly realize that it is coming from inside the house. And those ain't no bottle rockets either, those are gunshots. And suddenly little Charlie decides to dip out through the doggy door and disappears into the night. So Scott runs outside to go look for him while Liv tries calling the police, but 12 is too busy to even pick up, so it looks like they're on their own for now. Well, he ends up finding the little guy staring at something in the bushes, and as he gets closer, he can hear the coyotes planning their next attack. He's caught off guard when Liv comes outside to check on them, but just when it looks like they're good, Charlie gets so scared that he bites Scott's arm and takes off running for the second time, which is when Scott realizes what he was so afraid of, because they've got not one, but two savage coyotes coming up the freaking driveway. Oh yeah, and there's no way for Scott to make it past them, so he tells Liv to get back inside while he keeps going after the Doge, and he ends up chasing them over the fence into Tripp's backyard. Meanwhile, Chloe admits to her mom that she's been feeding the coyotes since they moved in, and now she feels like this is all her fault. Like, yeah, dude, you probably should not do that. But Mom reassures her that it must be something else that's making them act this way. Well, Scott gets to Tripp's house and finds the door wide open, so he peeks inside and starts looking around. But it doesn't take Buddy long enough to realize that this place is toe up from the flow up, and there's no sign of Tripp anywhere in sight. Alright, well, this dude's just not gonna be happy until he ends up as dog food, huh? Now, you'd probably think Buddy would have learned his lesson after that whole tree incident, but nah. Bro just keeps finding new ways to make his life difficult. Well, I'ma just tell you right off the bat, as soon as I noticed these coyotes hanging out in my hood, I'd be closing up that doggy door pronto. I mean, the only thing worse than just leaving the door open is having a giant hole in the bottom that's open all the time, right? And since I don't want my boy Charlie getting out or any coyotes getting in, I'ma simply put something to cover it up so we don't have that problem. Then everyone can just chill inside and we won't have to go out chasing little dude around the neighborhood. Easy. But let's not forget, y'all, dude's almost gotten jumped by these coyotes at least a few times now. So if you think I'm setting foot outside without some kind of weapon, you're bugging. I don't care if it's a mop, a frying pan, a fire poker, whatever. I'm just not about to let these coyotes catch your boy lacking. And I know he's still out there looking for Charlie, but if I walked into the neighbor's house and found everything all smashed up with blood all over the place, yeah, I'm good. I'ma just close my eyes, turn right back around, and take my ass home. I mean, I already got these coyotes to deal with. Like, I don't need anybody else's problems. So I'ma just find my dog, head back to the crib, and mind my own business. And the neighbors are just gonna have to look out for themselves. Well, Scott follows the blood trail up to the bedroom, but nothing could ever prepare him for what he's about to find, because when he opens the door, he's horrified to discover Tripp lying on the bed with his damn chest completely ripped open. And somehow he's still alive. But he ain't gonna be that way for much longer because, I mean, there ain't no surgery that's gonna fix that. So I guess that makes 6 down with 5 more to go. And Scott is so disgusted by the sight that he almost passes out. But then yeah, bam, somebody opens fire from inside the restroom and almost sends Scott back to the lobby. It's Julie, and somehow she got her hands on the .45. But after Scott explains that he is not a coyote, she puts down the strap and lets him inside. Scott needs to get home. So the two of them decide to team up, but Julie ain't trying to walk, so they decide to go for Tripp's car instead. But as they're sneaking down the steps, Scott gets a surprise call from the exterminator. Apparently, Scott tried to call dude 14 times, and old boy ain't too happy about him blowing up his phone. So he cuts Scott off before he can explain and says that he'll be there in the morning to check the traps. Well, they're just about to hit the door when a squad of coyotes shows up looking for another snack, but Julie is not here to play, and she ends up murking them all, plus half the furniture in the house before she's finally empty. Now back across the street, Chloe hears something outside and realizes that it's Charlie at the door, so they rush over to let old boy inside, but they're barely able to shut the door before 2 more coyotes show up and start trying to get in. The other 2 make it to the car without getting eaten, but there is another problem because the gate won't open without any power, so Scott decides to just ram it at full speed, and they end up wrecking straight into a wall outside his house. Well, the car might be totaled, but at least they got away from the coyotes, right? Wrong, because as soon as Scott gets out the whip, one of them comes flying in and goes straight for his freaking neck. But just when it looks like Buddy is done for, Liv shows up with a fire extinguisher and scares it off, saving his life just in time. But back at Tripp's place, the glass table finally breaks, sending a lit candle rolling into the curtains. And now it's not going to be long before the whole house burns to the freaking ground. Alright, you guys, now I know he's trying his best, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. This dude Scott is absolutely trash. Like, Buddy's just lucky Julie was over here to back him up. Otherwise, he'd be getting turned into burger meat right now. But the moment they let dude start driving was when it all fell apart. I don't know if he's been watching too many Vin Diesel movies or what, but my dude did not need to plow through that gate going at full speed. Like, bro, you're in a car. Just drive it up slowly and start hitting the gas, and you probably could just push right through. But no, dude had to go all fast and furious and crash right into the gas line, and now this probably seems like a pretty bad situation, wouldn't you think? But don't worry, you guys, because this time I think I actually have a pretty good plan. So to get out of the neighborhood, they're gonna need a car, right? And you're probably wondering, where are they gonna get one of those? Well, I'll tell you, it's time for Scott to take a trip over to Tony's house. I mean, they're obviously not using it anymore, and the keys should still be around, so if I'm Scott here, then all I gotta do is get patched up and head down to the garage, hop on a bike, zip on over to Tony's place, borrow his car, and come back for the homies. But before I leave, I'm gonna put on a bunch of hockey pads or like make myself some kind of armor, grab a weapon, and load up a bag full of that canned meat. That way if I run into any coyotes, I can just dump it behind me and take off. See, I told you it was a good plan. But yeah, anyways, back to these idiots. Now, Scott ain't doing too well when they drag bro back inside the house, so Liv takes her man upstairs to get him fixed up. But after she's done, they notice that Tripp's house is completely up in flames. And this changes everything, because if the fire spreads to their house, well, let's just say it's gonna get real toasty up in here, so they need to find a way off the hill before that happens. But there's just one problem. Their phones are all dead, and so is the whip. But that's when Scott notices Julie over there texting away with her fully charged phone, because I guess it never dawned on her to call for some freaking help. So Scott borrows it to call the police, but the line is still busy, so he gives it back to Julie and tells her not to hang up until somebody answers. Now it's time for the family to try coming up with a plan, and that's when Chloe comes up with this genius idea to build themselves a coyote-proof cage. You know, like with sharks. And by genius idea, I mean it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like, seriously, Chloe needs to never come up with an idea ever again. But shockingly, these idiots decide that it might work. Suddenly, they realize that a coyote got in through an open window, and Julie gets so distracted that she forgets to talk when the operator finally picks up. So they just drop the call before she can tell them the addy. Now their only choice is to hide, so they all take cover as the coyote starts searching the house. It eventually locks in on the half-eaten can of meat, and honestly, even the coyote thinks twice about eating that. So while it's distracted, Chloe starts sneaking up the stairs, but then another coyote shows up and gets inside through the doggy door. And that's when it all goes south, because Chloe accidentally steps on a squeaky toy, and when she turns around, she sees the coyote charging straight for her. Scott shouts at his daughter to run, but the other coyote starts closing in, and this forces Liv to jump into action as she grabs the tablecloth and wraps it around the monster's head. And while she's holding it back, he grabs a fire poker and starts spearing it through the sheet until they're finally able to take it down. Meanwhile, upstairs, Chloe decides to hide in a closet, but it does not take long before the coyote sniffs her out. And by the time her parents get there, the damage is already done. She's still alive at least, and she managed to save Charlie, but now Chloe's all tore up just like her dad, making it even more important that they act fast. And just when they need him most, Scott gets overwhelmed by the sight of the blood and passes out. Ew! Okay, well, I guess Chloe should probably spend less time coming up with dumb ideas and more time learning how to dodge coyotes, because damn, girl almost just got packed up. But you know, watching this just made me realize how this fight shouldn't have even been that close, like at all. I'ma just skip right past the fact that they left a window open, because like, y'all already know how I feel about that one. But if I'm Scott here, then yeah, at first I might be a little worried, but then I'd remember there's 4 of us, and this is my house. So what are we doing hiding from 2 coyotes? I mean, we're stronger, smarter, and there's more of us than them, so this should honestly be a piece of cake. I'll admit it, once they got down to business, their strategy was pretty effective, but the problem was it took them way too long to actually nut up. So if I'm in this situation, right, then the first thing I'm gonna do is throw something to the other side of the room as a distraction. Then we all rush in and combo them with our weapons just like they did here, which gives Chloe a chance to run upstairs and get to a bedroom, except this time just lock the damn door. Like, for real, you guys, it's not that hard. But then yeah, once it's over, we just grab the car from Tony's and split. No problemo. Well, Scott wakes up sometime later to find that Chloe is doing all right, no thanks to him. And also, Julie is still there, so there's that. But this kid needs a hospital, and since the ambulance ain't coming, Scott decides that there's only one thing left to do. So he heads to the garage and throws on some 80s music as he starts slapping together that cage. But when that's not quite hitting right, he switches up to some 90s bangers instead, and that gets Buddy in the right groove. But while he's looking for supplies, he notices an old photo book full of memories from back in the day and starts getting all emotional as he's reminiscing on the good times. So he calls Liv on the walkie-talkie and goes off on this whole heartfelt speech about how he wants to be a better dad. Like, dude, you got them a house in Hollywood. You're doing all right. But after he's finished, Liv replies that he was breaking up the entire time. So instead of repeating it all, he just says that they should go on a vacation soon and leaves it at that. Well, that's when they see the freaking exterminator coming up the road, and for a minute it looks like he's about to save their lives. But Liv realizes that he doesn't know about the Coyotes, and when she tries to warn him, she almost gets attacked the instant she opens the door. So my dude pulls up on the block and just says to himself, yep, seems like a normal day in Hollywood, but that's when he sees the Coyotes coming. And dude can tell right away that he needs to break out the big guns. So he goes back to the van and whips out a giant taser. This seems like it scares them off, but just as he turns around feeling all confident in himself, a coyote sneak attacks him from behind, and they all swarm in and start tearing dude apart, making 7 down with 4 more to go. So Scott's about to go back to building the cage when he hears a small dog crying for help. Charlie is safe upstairs, so it can't be him, and as he listens closer, it sounds like coming from a vent in the garage. So Scott decides to poke his head in there and check it out. And boy, is he surprised when he finds a whole ass secret room. But that's not even the craziest part, because hiding there in the darkness are 2 little coyote puppies that the pest control guy locked inside the walls for some reason. But anyway, he knows what the coyotes are after. They're just trying to save their babies, and this gives him an idea. So now he's gonna use this flimsy ass cage to take them outside and make them trade. Okay, you guys, now the movie's almost over, but you know I had to jump in for a minute and roast this plan real quick because, like, what? And really, guys, I don't even know where to start. But out of all the plans you could have possibly come up with, a cage, that's really what you're going with, huh? Dude's entire house is about to explode, and he's just gonna lock himself in some plastic contraption he just whipped together up in the garage. Like, sure, what could possibly go wrong, right? Unlike these characters, I still have a few brain cells left, so it didn't take me long to think of a better solution, because if the Coyotes want their puppies back, then just let the puppies go. Like, right now. Just open the garage and let them out. Bye-bye, see you later, have a nice life. I mean, like, what's the difference between letting them go right here and walking them 50 feet down the driveway? Well, I'll tell you what the difference is. One good idea and the other is completely brain dead. But whatever, man, go die in your little Fisher-Price coyote cage if that's what you want to do. Personally, I would just let the puppies go, sneak over to the van real quick, scoop up the fam, and dip out. But hey, that's just me. So Scott opens the garage door and starts wheeling his way out there nice and slow, but it isn't long before the coyotes start biting at the cage. And it doesn't look like it's going to hold up for very long, but the coyotes eventually stop attacking, so Scott decides that this is his chance to make the handoff. Only as soon as he steps out of the cage, the pup's pissed off parents show up and start closing in. Well, Scott does his best to stay calm as he takes the pups and carefully gives them back. And just when his family's starting to worry, he calls to let them know that the plan actually worked. So now that it's safe, they all rush outside for a big family reunion. But just when it looks like they're home free, another damn coyote comes flying out of nowhere and starts attacking Julie. But Scott grabs the taser and manages to fight it off. With that, they all jump in the van and start speeding away, and not a moment too soon either, because that's when the gas line finally blows up, and the entire house gets demolished in an absolutely massive explosion. Well, at least they all made it out in one piece, right? But wait, the story's not over yet, because back at the house, Devin actually gets up, and dude's about to exterminate one of the sweet little pups when its mama, or papa, shows up and challenges him to a 1v1. And well, we never get to see who wins this fight, but personally, my money's on the Coyotes, so in the end, that makes 6 or 7 down with 4 lucky survivors, and the family learned one very important lesson. Sometimes the real coyotes are the friends we make along the way. Coyotes, man, what in the actual hell is going on? I got no words, but I encourage you to deliver me some words. Like, if you guys would have done anything differently in today's episode, you gotta let me know what they would have been down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. Check out the How to Beat playlist for more videos just like this one. I'm Ben. We'll see you in the next video and have a f***ing good day. Sheesh!